topic on last week too, and it went good. Is how many groups are there about brain injury support? Like I said, there's hundreds. There's just so many. But how much do they communicate with each other to help achieve goals for their members? And that's, I think, a key point. That's the whole idea of why we all do these support groups, is because we're trying to help people. But why don't we work together to help people? And I think that's a big, big, big thing that I think is important for all of us to start working together instead of doing a different version of the same thing and trying to stand out. And it's ridiculous. It's kind of like a competition, and we're not, this brain injury support's not about competing with one another. It's about helping each other. So these are my questions that I come up with. Why don't we collaborate if we have the same goals? And do they have meetings on a calendar so people can get support each day of the week? Like we do these on Thursdays. I belong to other groups. We have meetings on Monday nights. Then there's a caregivers group that's on Wednesday afternoons. There should be something available every day, all the time, for people to go somewhere and go to. And I don't want that responsibility on myself to have meetings 24/7. But I think that if I can't make it, or if somebody else has a meetings for people to reach out and ask questions, use the calendar that I have, and you could see something at your given time, what's going on right now. Here, there's a group in California, there's one in Ohio, there's one in Canada, there's one in New York. And you have choices of who you want to talk to, and you could find people in your area that might know resources or places to go and talk to, or themselves. It's just a vast array of information that we can use to help each other. And that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm constantly giving your website out to like my support group. We had a couple new members yesterday, and I put it in the chat for them because they had trouble finding anything.
Yeah. I had Kessler Rehabilitation Organization, their brain injury support rehabilitation center. And they messaged me on my Facebook and asked me if I knew people, a rehabilitation clinic in New York. And I said, yeah. I said, here, let me know where and more information, because of course you need to know if somebody's insurance is going to be covering, their therapy or whatever. But it's cool. It's working. That's the idea. And I appreciate that part, because that's along the lines of what, why I do what we do. And part of the discussion we had last week and on Monday, bear with me 1 second, give me a minute. Come on. I'm looking for somebody right now to see if they're going to join.
Multitasking.
Well, I'm trying to find somebody. I can't remember their name, and I'm trying to remember. Tamisha. I was saying earlier, Dimmy, that's her nickname, is Dimmy. She brought up a presentation that we were working on, and we're talking about getting involved with different neurologists, doctors' offices, and support groups all over the country, everywhere, about sharing who we are and what we do, and being able to be supportive and networking with them so it can help promote their groups and their offices and things. So it's a win-win on both sides. We could be like a little happy medium of just a network of information to be able to help each other no matter where you are. And that's something big. Me, Susan, and she, where I all talking about it, and we're writing up a whole thing to send out to different places so we can do more work, more teamwork. And it's about helping each other help others. That's pretty much what this whole presentation is about today. So let's see. And here's something I wrote this part in here because each of us, whether it's Barbara, Susan, me, and you guys, both Steve, things you can write up or ask in other groups and other places that you go to about brain injury. Ask questions in the groups you belong to if they work with other groups. Do they have goals to achieve for their members, or what's their purpose? Is it just a window for people to just talk to other people? Or do they have goals to actually help people accomplish what they want to do as far as short-term or long-term achievements? Do they work with other groups to share their vision and assist to help survivors, families, and educate the public about brain injuries? Do they have scheduled meetings to help people with live communication through video or text to help each other? Like Facebook Live. Some people use Google Chat. We use Zoom. We've used Skype in the past. I had a show on Brain Injury Radio Network for a number of years. There's a lot of different things, but if they have a schedule that they go by, instead of it just being random talks, share it. They could, if you guys ask them, do you do this? When do you do it? Can we help you network for you? So we could show people where to go when they need it. That's like I said, helping each other, help others. And you can ask, would they like to help gain exposure to what they do? Everybody likes promotion, so why don't we just do that for each other? But we need to do that if we have the knowledge of those other groups that can help each other. That's the whole idea of this. And this is me asking you guys for your own opinions. What is your perspective on all of us working together more? Although the groups making the same effort for survivors, how do you think they can get on the same page? And how would that help you as an individual? So that's pretty much it. I mean, if you have anything you'd like to add, go ahead, speak up, chit chat. I ask a lot of questions on this presentation, so it's kind of open mic now. You guys can, voice your opinions or ideas and ask questions if you'd like. See how we can help each other, or help others, rather, help those groups. Did I put you all to sleep?
No, you know me and what I can do, what I'm able to do. So I do what I can.
I mean, I could send this presentation out to anybody through email, and you could send it out to other places, or there's also just copy and paste what I put out in messages on Facebook. You can just copy and paste those messages.
Yeah, it's on your website, right? It will be.
What, this video?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could put it on there, but I have it on Facebook as well.
Either way.
I make it into a movie file, and then I put it on Facebook to add, and people could share it from there.
I'll try and get better at that.
It's okay. Thank you. So Steve, you guys have anything you'd like to add or ask questions or anything like that?
Is there any perspective on how individuals can get better after brain injury?
Time. That's really, everybody's going to adjust and everybody's going to heal in a different way at different times in different areas. So it's really, there's no set timeline of how quick somebody's going to recover. Or
No,
what.
I recognize that.
Yeah.
What a method though.
The method?
Yeah. Are you espousing spontaneous recovery just like everybody else?
That's next to impossible because everybody's going to plateau in some areas or they're going to achieve more in some areas. I was supposed to be in the hospital 2.5 years. I was out in 3 weeks. And I didn't realize the extent of the brain injury until 5 years after. And then I started opening my mind about how can I help myself improve. Like I went to college. Yeah, it was almost 10 years after my brain injury. I went back to school and I had to retrain my brain how to retain information and things like that. So it takes a lot of self-discipline and persistence, but an open mind and patience as well. And
I tried to go back to college, but I did it too soon on the other side of Michael. I lasted 3 days and it threw me into a seizure. I did it.
So it could be, yeah, cognitive overload. You just overdid it, yeah. So that's very different for everybody. It's really hard to say.
Adaptation is very individual.
Yeah. And where some people like, and I mean, that goes in general, even outside of brain injury, it goes for everybody in life, is everybody is gonna excel in some areas and laid back on some others, you know.
Agree.
I have a twin, so we're identical, but we're so much different in personality. And I tease him, I've always been a mechanical person since I was born. Like since I was a little kid, I've always been working on things and fixing things. And in my 20s, I was working on I had a 63 Impala. And I told her I like restored it and stuff. My brother wanted to help me out. And we're twins. We think alike and things like that. Well, I told him to go inside and go get me a left-handed screwdriver. And he was screwed. He had no idea. He came back out all frustrated. He goes, where the hell can I find this thing? And I was just cracking up laughing. But it's those, you know what I'm saying? It's just a difference in who people are. He's good with numbers. He's an accountant. And me, I was always been a hands-on type of person. So it's just different people, different ways, you know. And like I said, also recovery processes. Some people recover physically quicker than they'll recover cognitively. Some people, it's just the opposite. Some people are brilliant, but they may have a speech deficit, you know, and speech impediment. But it doesn't mean that they're any smarter or less bright than the other person. It's just a different mechanism. You know, when I was working, we were talking to Steve before about being teacher for children with special needs. And I worked at an autistic school from age 4 to 22, these kids were. And you get some of these, well, anybody that works with autistic children knows this, well, depending on the experience that they've had, but it's very common, is you find a kid, when you hit a topic that they love, they're obsessed and they're brilliant. I had one kid who just knew everything there was about astrology. Everything. He made me feel like an idiot because this kid was just so smart. I never met anybody in the world that knew about all this kind of stuff. But he was really, but then if you ask him to have a conversation about what he ate for dinner last night, he's lost. He doesn't, and forget about any kind of confrontation, you know, put him on the spot and he's just baffled. But you ask him about the distance from here to the moon or whatever, things like that. Yeah, he's just like blah, 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 blah. So it's where everybody's bodies and minds are at. It's hard.
My God, I'm gonna have to go, but I'll be back tonight.
Okay. Yeah, I know you have a doctor's appointment. All right, dear.
Okay,
Thanks, honey.
okay.
Susan's been doing these calls with me for the past 18 years, since April 2004. And she had hip surgery last year, and I ended up becoming her caregiver because she knows me and trusts me, but she's also a survivor, and she's just brilliant, and she has more experience in the brain injury field. And like I said, she had her brain injury at 3 years old, and she's in her 60s. So you put the time together, she's been around the block for a long, long time. And she knows all the things about, terminologies and how medicines and medical care has changed over the last 50, 60 years. I mean, if you look over the last 20 years, they didn't even know anything about neurology. It's a big difference. Now they're opening their minds about stuff.
Well, it's interesting. My dad, in 1978, my dad died of a brain aneurysm.
Mm-hmm.
They knew nothing, especially in a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
They knew nothing about aneurysms.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing the advances they made.
So what do you guys think can you do as far as talking in the brain injury support group you belong to online about what they do, what they offer, and how about like working together? Do you think that's reasonable?
I do.
Sometimes, I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
That's okay. Sorry, I'm kind of the new guy, so I don't speak a lot. And a lot of it's because I kind of feel like I'm on an island a little bit out here because you talked about the neurologists and the and the growth that we've made in neurologists and understanding of TBIs over the years, which I agree with that. Of course, like I mentioned, mine happened in '98. I've seen the growth on that. I belong to a Facebook group. I just kind of follow it. I don't really partake a lot in the conversations on there. I think that there's a lot of good people who are caregivers in that particular group, as well as survivors. And there's good content there. So I think integrating with them is good. And like there's all kinds of groups everywhere. When I mentioned in reference to my island comment, I've kind of like you, I've had to learn my own way. And most people I talk to would never know that I had a brain injury unless I tell them.
I've been accused of lying about it. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to my first ever brain injury group was in Salina, and I went there and I was pretty much ridiculed because I was quote unquote normal because I looked fine, but like they don't understand it's inside. And I was still recovering. That was like 2 years out of it. There's definitely been some deficits, which I've learned how to create my own crutches to get through. And I won't delve into my story too much because we don't have a lot of time for that. But
oh, we do. No, we do. We have an hour.
But just don't want to hog the whole time. But I just for me, being here in the middle of the US in Kansas, like I mentioned where I was, there's just not a lot of advances. I've went to a couple neurologists and they kind of had the same take that support group I went to did, where it was, well, you seem fine to me, so why are you even here? And I've taken the IQ test and all that, and I think it's funny you mentioned how we recover, because the other Steve asked that question about recovery, and that was a really good question. I don't know if we ever fully recover. Maybe we do. I've heard about this neurofeedback and these different biotechnologies and so on. There's so many different things you can do.
Full recovery is a matter of opinion. What a full recovery is a matter of opinion. It can't be documented. Who's to say from one person to the next if you're fully recovered or not? Because we all have life experiences that are going to have an impact on our lives. So what one person is recovered is another for another person. That you determine your level of what a recovery is.
Certainly.
So it's a perspective thing.
I know I was a more calm individual prior to the accident, and I've learned how to control that, but mine was in my frontal lobe, and I was in a coma for 6 days. 4 of those legitimate, the last 2 induced. Was supposed to saved my bone there. Ended up just being a hard piece of plastic, which I still have issues there. I can still tell it's sensitive, but it's obviously held up for quite some time. I'm hoping it continues to do that now that I'm a father, but I don't anticipate any problems there. I can definitely tell when the weather is changing, but
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
I have recovered in my own way as far as I went to college like you post accident, graduated with a 3.76 TBI, or I'm sorry, GPA. I think I overloaded myself. I got the dean's permission to take 20 credit hours over the summer one time when I went for my education degree. I never took less than 18. And I think the reason I did that is because I had to prove to myself that I was okay, that I was going to survive this. So I pushed myself because I realized there wasn't a lot of support for me. And I had to just power through. That was the old German mentality, I guess, that I grew up in. And I did. So I feel that that's helped me develop a stronger work ethic. It helped me grasp onto the IT field, if you will, as far as being able to be successful in that and learning everything that can be involved, whether it's cell phones or Active Directory or whatever I'm working on, programming, computers in general. I really enjoyed teaching, and I think that's where I'm kind of torn because my heart's in helping people, which I do in IT. My heart has been in teaching as well, of course, and I've been an at-risk youth mentor. I've done all kinds of stuff across the board. I enjoy giving, and I think to kind of relate to that first question with the other groups and support groups on Facebook or wherever else, I think it'd be nice to integrate because I think even though we've made growth, we still need more growth and more support because there's a lot of other people out there who feel like they're on an island, maybe from their location, their demographics, maybe just because their lack of knowledge. And as much as we can do to reach these people to, give them the tools to succeed as much as possible, and to get insights because we're all in it to help each other. And I think that's what it's about. And I love to share my story as we all do, because we all have one. And I think we learn from taking the time to listen to each other and learn what's worked for us. And that's how we learn, is through conversation, I think.
That's funny, Steve. Barbara, you know damn well. He says you have summed up what I say every week for years. I mean, what you said is right on the money, and that's exactly right. We use our experiences to help. We could teach and learn from each other. If we share it, it's like we have similarities, but then if we don't know what to do or how to cope or how to change things so we can achieve our goals, nobody knows better than survivors do of what works and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Coping strategies, thinking strategies, memory retention, all those kinds of things help each other. And why not work together on helping? That's what we're all in it for. And it's funny because you and I have worked in IT, and we both have been teachers. And I said the same thing when I started doing IT work. I said, my love has always been helping people. And here you are. And the funny thing is, Barbara's in line too, because of her love for wanting to help other people. And that's why we do what we do in the brain injury community, to help others, because we know from experience. And I say it all the time. I don't care where you look, neurological books, surgeons, nobody knows better than experiences like we do. We know what works, what doesn't work, what may work, what may not, and the capacities of they don't talk about impulse control very much. They can't teach that in the course. They could talk about it, but if you don't experience it, or, cognitive overload, like you're just overwhelmed and I can't take much more from all the things that are going on at once. They can't document that unless you're having an MRI done and you're doing a study for a short amount of time. But we have to live like that all the time. So we see it from a totally different level than the average person. So you hit it.
Spot on.
And there are certain things there's not really a therapy for, like the impulse control. You can't really teach that.
No, that's about self-discipline. It's what we can control ourselves. And that's one of the things that we do as an organization, to help people, that you can't go just anywhere and say, I need help with my impulse control. They said, okay, let's dope them up. Let's put them on medications. And that's not going to fix it. That's just a Band-Aid.
Just exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So this is why we do what we do. And this is the big reason why we're different than most other places, because you can call, my phone's on all the time. Call me, ask me questions, and I can make suggestions, or if I can't, I can lead you in the right direction to find them. And this is something that other groups don't do. They just have an open chat and they talk about belly button lint and what's for dinner yesterday and blah, blah, blah. Nonsense.
I think that's why the other Steve left. He kind of seemed like he just took off. I'm not sure he was really.
No, I asked him about the topic and he went off topic and started talking about recovery time. And I was like, all right. And I went along with it. I was like, all right, let's answer his question. There's not a lot of us. We can address that. And I guess when we all talked about it, it wasn't sufficient for him. So
Yeah, well,
you got to be patient. And I don't think that he was just being
Maybe
patient.
not there yet.
Yeah.
and the presentation is not every time.
Yeah.
You're
We
gonna
don't.
have different subjects.
Yeah. Well, he said in the beginning when we started the call, I said, we're going to wait the first 15, 20 minutes to see if other people get on. He goes, I don't want to sit around for 15 or 20 minutes. So
Yeah, they got frustrated saying it was fluff,
Yeah.
and he started.
yeah. So
Yeah, it was a little offsetting at first because I was just trying to just, because we was during that first 15 minutes, it's like, well, I think we're still waiting for people. And I
yeah.
was just trying to give a little, I think I was talking at the time, it's like, just kind of give a little synopsis of kind of why I was here, and
But that's
that's
exactly
what that part was for, I thought.
exactly. We get to know each other. Exactly.
Just-
Chit chat about anything, and then we can go on topic and talk about the discussion. But
Well,
and
maybe he'll have more patience next time he joins us. So
yeah, it's fun. So be it.
yep.
And that may be one of his issues where he just doesn't have a lot of patience.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that absolutely could be an impulse control issue. We've had people on the calls where they go on a tangent talking about something completely off topic, or they just they talk about small talk for the whole rest of the call. We can be in the middle of a discussion. They start talking about, Denny, you guys know how to make spaghetti? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to steer it back. It's kind of like running a classroom, which sometimes you get off topic and you're like, okay, guys, we got to come back to whatever we're talking about, carrying capacity because it's science or whatever we're going. You got to steer them back to the topic at hand. But yeah,
And I think that's why Michael goes through all the rules before the presentation, because we get new people, and it's a reminder for those of us that have been here for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's great that he has that, especially as the visual, because like you mentioned, Barb, it's you have new people who don't know those rules, and it makes everything go a lot smoother.
I bring it up right from the beginning, right from the get-go. So
And I'm a very visual person. If I hear it but don't see it, I have trouble getting it through. I won't retain it.
and that's I'm a visual person too. If I read and I say it out loud, then I'm going to retain the information better. But some people have sight issues, so I read it because they can't read as quickly as I'm going. You can move things along, so they're more auditory, and it helps them out too. And I can't. Reading makes me tired, so they're talking too much. Yeah, I do it, and then when I'm done with the calls, I'm like, all right, nap time. But I know I got to do it because of what we do, and the needs of everybody, like as an individual, are going to be different. So some people retain the information in different ways, but I have to bring it up. And when I bring up those rules of the calls, I make sure that it's out there so people know right from the get-go, this is the way things are going to go. Because we used to be more open and it was more laid back, but then some people started taking too much advantage of it and making inappropriate comments and jokes on the calls. And I'm like, this is still a business. This isn't a chat room. If you want to have a chat room, go on Facebook and you type and have a chat about whatever you want to talk about. I said, no, this has a purpose. And that's a big one. That's a key word. about even about the topic we're talking about this afternoon, having a purpose. What is your purpose? What is your end result? What are your goals? And that goes on in all of these brain injury groups. What are you looking to do? Is it just everywhere you go and all these different brain injury groups and it's just open conversation about anything? Or, where's your focus? Where's your overall, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like, what's the
Well,
agenda, or how are you moving forward type of thing? You got to have some kind of a plan.
Yeah, right. So, here's that. Actually, I was talking to them earlier before you got on, Steve. There's a new thing on here. It's called a whiteboard. And I wrote up,
yeah.
I wrote up a thing on there. But to do the whiteboard, it turns off this. Let me see.
It's in educational mode right now. He's still learning.
Yeah, well, Zoom is starting to figure it out. So I was just playing along with it. All right, new share. Whiteboard, here it is. Let me see what I got here. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can.
saw a pencil.
Okay, yeah. I'm wondering why it's not opening up the other.
I see a dot.
No, just the cursor and the whiteboard at this point.
Yeah. No, it should be bringing up the other. Oh, there it is. Teamwork. Okay. Open and collaborate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
And this is one of the things it was going to be when we discussed on Monday when we had these meetings, we brought this up. And the question that we're talking about right now is what we can do to build up teamwork in the brain injury community. And I have these 5 things right here. Spread the message about who we are. Let people know how we help. Show the progress we have with people's testimonials, because we have people that have said how wonderful we've helped them out in different ways. Talk to other groups, hospitals, neurologists, and doctors about what we do. And be involved in our calls, ask questions, and read our mission statement. That's the key word I was thinking about, mission statement, before with these other groups.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then learn more about ASBISG.org, because we have a lot of educational references that we have on there that I put. But then I put on the side here what we do, because people don't know how we stand out and how we're different. So I have, we have an open atmosphere for people to meet others in the community and communicate openly about who they are without negativity, educate the public about neurological impairments, who people are and where to go and how they happen. Provide a place for people to vent about their struggles. Communication services for families and caregivers to work along with brain injury. Continue to build a community together of enlightenment, experience, and positive growth in a loving, fun-filled environment. These are these meetings. This is the other side, aside from just having a simple topic. Neurological impairments and brain injuries include, but are not limited to, traumatic brain injuries, bipolar disorders, brain tumors, strokes, aneurysms, acquired brain injuries, MS, hydrocephalus, autism, PTSD, epilepsy, and more. Another thing we do is advocate for legal and medical rights for those involved with the neurologically impaired. And that goes with advocating for caregivers, family members, and the survivors. And this is a big thing that where you're going to go on a brain injury support group on Facebook that offer those kind of resources.
Nope.
You never hear this kind of stuff about the extent of, what we do and how we help. So this is,
No, that's really cool.
Thank you. I want to copy and paste this. No, that's a shape. Select. There we go. Because I'm going to, that text that I just put on here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this in other groups about our meeting today. And I'm going to say, what do you guys know about our meetings? This is what we do on our Zoom calls every week for 18 years, Nobody does this kind of
A long time.
It's been a long, long time. Like I said, I mean, Barbara, you've been doing this with me for what, 6 years, right?
Yeah, maybe we've been friends on Facebook since 14,
Oh, wow. Okay.
off and on in the
Yeah.
beginning.
So you're like 8 years. And
That's pretty awesome.
yeah, and Susan, like I said, Susan, it's been, 18 years now. April 22nd, when I started doing this, she came on board because we were doing work with the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey, and that's how we met.
Cool.
We were both members of a brain injury council for the head injury community, and we used to advocate for laws to be changed and things like that.
Well, I'm glad I found you guys. I wish it would have been 18 years ago, but or even 6. But
No, it's cool. I mean,
I'm
you're
glad to be here.
Yeah, well, see, that's a thing. You're an inspiration, and just like people have said that about me, anybody that's been long term and have recovered and is doing well, we give people hope. We give people inspiration that they could get better, and you could still achieve and have a purpose and drive. And
Absolutely. My
tell
wife and I talk about that all the time. She's like, you
How
need
do
to
you
get out and inspire people, tell your story.
yeah,
I did a speech at the University of Northern Colorado when I was living out there,
Mhm.
and that's probably the most I've done. But I feel like there's more to do. There's more work to be done because I love helping people, and I guess in return, in the process, I'm inevitably going to get some help as well just by sharing my story. I'll hear others, but yeah, it's good to be a part of this whole thing for people who have actually been through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on,
We can actually relate to you. It's like, that's rare.
Yes, that's the big key right there is relate.
Yeah.
You hit it because people who have not been through it don't, and they might have some sympathetic brains, but not real empathy because they haven't been through it. So they don't really understand. Well, why can't you just do this or that? Well, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Where my the impulse control, for example, and those types of things. I've had to develop my own crutches, so to speak, and it's been good. It works for me, and I'm sure there's other things out there that work for others, but I like to just help people, obviously, as you guys do. And I guess that's called that the teacher in me. And I guess I feel like my work here is not done. So I want to see how I can still contribute to help people who maybe are just starting out, because mine happened to me on May 7th of 98. I fell asleep on the interstate.
That's how I had mine. I fell asleep on the highway in Jersey.
All
Wow.
three.
That's the three of us. Yeah. Oh, that's
See? That is crazy.
I T-boned a tree going 50.
I hit one head on.
Oh, yeah, I got thrown out. Went up a ramp where there was not an exit. Well, there's an exit, but it was before the exit, almost hit the sign. Got thrown out. They said if I would have stayed in, I would have had too many external or internal injuries to survive. You look at the vehicle, and that would have been the case. But I wear my seatbelt every day now, just because that was just a one-off, essentially. But yeah, I was very fortunate. I had an off-duty EMT behind me, coming back from Topeka, and he just lucky, really, really right place, right time.
I was falling asleep. I was actually driving back from Atlantic City, New Jersey, back up north where I had lived. And my friend was driving, and he thought he was too tired to drive. So I told him to let me drive, and I dozed off. Nothing crazy, no drinking, no drugs, no nothing. It was just helping a friend out.
Wow.
Yep. He broke his leg. I broke my ankles, my wrist, my ribs, and my skull. I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, that's a lot longer than I was. So again, I was fortunate.
Yeah, I went into cardiac arrest 6 times in 24 hours, and they kept bringing me back and bringing me back and bringing me back. It was pretty.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah, but again, we're all here for the same reasons, and that's it. It's like you look at life from a different perspective. I mean, I had a 3-year-old and a baby on the way. That was only motivation I needed. I said, I will get better. I had to for them, so I didn't let anything hold me back. And we all have our reasons, for doing, you want to achieve what you were doing before. Everybody wants to live the life they had before they had their brain injury.
Sure.
But that's just going to hold you back if you dwell on it. You got to move forward. You got to concentrate on now and getting better to where you want to be, because your goals totally start over. All your goals, I mean, you went back to working in IT and things like that too, which is fine. But like, I know I wasn't who I was before my brain injury. Like, I'm still knowledgeable in IT, but to the extent I was, because I was doing it, I can't remember anything that I was really devoted and concentrating on, or a project I was working on when I had the brain injury. Hell no. Basics, well, to me, is the basics. As a network administrator for 5,000 employees all over the country, that's what I did. So but I don't know. I knew I had to reanalyze who I was and what I love to do, and devote what I wanted to do from there. And just like you said, I was saying earlier, it's persistence, but patience. You got to be understanding and laid back a little bit, but you can't give up. So you got to be persistent. You got to keep going and pushing. It might take you a little, but you'll get there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a wild road, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you had yours in 98. I had mine in 2003. So it's a 5-year difference between us.
Yeah,
And
pretty close.
there's a 6-year difference between me and Barbara. So I'm like the in between here.
Well, it's funny how I've watched it. Like, there's so many days I don't even think that I have one. I don't remember it, because I'm so caught up in life in general, and I don't have the deficits I had the first few years out, of course, but I know they're still there. I just, it's just interesting how it's grown over time. That's where I'm at the point where I like to give and feel like I have, advice to offer people who are just now maybe starting out with it or whatnot. But we're all different, the brain heals at different rates, and some are, at different extents as far as damage than others, and where you got hit in the brain and everything else. But I am a full believer that you can recover to a certain extent. And, I felt like I'm very fortunate to, I think I'm actually better off than I would have been had I not had it, possibly the road I was going down.
Oh, that's so funny you said that. I said I'm better than I was before I had the brain injury. I honestly believe that too. It's all based on perspective. Yeah, that's so true. And it's kind of funny, because that's what we're explaining to the other guy, Steve from Toronto, earlier. Is he goes, what's your recovery time look like? And that's it's who you are. And there's ways of what you consider recovery. That's all based on your perspective.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the people that I was friends with before the accident, pretty much all of them are gone. I used to say that I got left behind, but I got to realize I just can't keep up. So I'm not really friends with the people I was before the accident.
It's funny.
Family.
Well, Barbara, with you saying that, you know what it is? They're still living in the past, and you're the one who moved forward. So you're the one who
Mhm.
you're the one who progressed.
Yeah, it's true. And
Right.
I'll kind of tie something in here that I think is important. So in February, I mentioned I was working at a hospital in the IT. I was desktop support the last 3 years there. Last February, so February Groundhog Day, actually, of 21, we lost my dad at the hospital. He went in for a routine procedure, didn't make it out. The doctors, arrogance, I guess, maybe you could say, got in the way. Did not take the surgeon's suggestion after he made the little mishap. Ended up in the cath lab. And then the surgeon said, well, give him a bypass. He said, oh, no, he'll be fine. And no communication with my mom or me or anybody. Anyway, long story short, just a real bad situation. So I had to walk them hallways for, 13 more months before I finally left there. But that was a situation where, let me say, the growth has helped me, I guess. Like, this doors have always opened for whatever reason, so I guess I've become a better person from my injury. But I don't know. I had a point going there. I kind of lost it. I'm sorry. It was a little too involved, maybe.
Well, you touch some sensitive subjects. That's understandable.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's, things happen for a reason is the bottom line, I think.
Yeah.
And I got through that. I had a lot of strength to get through that and walk them hallways. But this new opportunity is a blessing, and that's what I'm focusing on. Just like, I was determined to still have a family, which I had. I was determined to still go to college and graduate, which I did, and get a career and be successful. So I never gave up, and that was hard. But I lost a lot of friends in the process too. Oh, I know what I was going with the dad thing. So I go to a support group, and we talked for grieving and healing loss, basically. And I've only went 3 or 4 times, and it was about moving forward. So that was what this job is doing. That's what I've been doing with my dad. And that's what I've done with my brain injury, because that's the only direction you can just go, is go forward. However you have to do it.
Absolutely. We have actually, if on my on our website, one of the drop downs that are on the website has videos of past conference, meetings that we've had, and we talked about that, moving forward after brain injury. But it's about moving forward with life. Actually, we did a meeting, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and all of it was about not living in the past and moving forward. And that goes for anybody, regardless of, not even, it doesn't even have anything to do with brain injury. It's about life. Because as you're dwelling on something, you're wasting time that could be used in a valuable way to move forward. Always moving forward, always. We now understand as brain injury survivors, you never know when your day's going to be. Make the best of what you have now. But we got to live like that. That's one thing to say it, but when you got to do it, it's taking action.
100%.
And again, and we're not even off topic, because that's what this meeting's about with teamwork. It's about moving forward in a positive direction, and working together to get there. Because sometimes we can't do it ourselves, because we get wrapped up with something else or traumatic events that happen, because life is life, and we all
Life gets busy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we need each other. So again, another form of teamwork, going, how can I help you get where you need to go? Or I need help. Can I go to another group and see if they can assist me? Maybe they might be able to help me learn or me grow, not just me being arrogant and saying, oh, I can help them. I can help them. I can help them. I get burnt out too. Maybe somebody can help me out. It's it goes both ways. So it's interesting. I'm saving this video. I would normally ask, but the other Steve bailed out, which
You're
is
good.
just the 3 of us or 4 of us, excluding Susan. But this video, I'm going to save this video, and I'm going to put this on Facebook. I don't know, Steve, you're probably friends with me. You may be, but because I belong to a lot of groups, and I'm the one who promotes it. I put the link for this all over Facebook.
Okay.
So probably saw it, and that's what got your interest. But yeah, friend request me, Michael Idell or Scotland. There's both on there on my profile name. But friend request me, and then I'll tag you on the video, because this video, the things you discussed, Barbara and I, all of us have discussed, are key points that we need to get the word out together. So we hit every nail on the head with the topic today. And it's funny because there's only been on the call. So it's really cool.
The one thing I was going to bring up to see, because he doesn't know me, this is his first call. I have a friend that was injured 3 years before I was. He was electrocuted. He's considered a brain injury. We are kind of opposites as far as he can drive, I can't. And we have different effects from our injury. But I live alone. I'll go down and stay with him for a couple weeks, and I'll come home. So when I'm there, I help him. It's like, it's a change of scenery. I can get out of my apartment. I can go socialize with someone that relates to me. Like, well, we found each other for a reason in the support group.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely. That's neat. You guys complement each other well. That's and
Yeah.
can relate to each other, like you mentioned. That's wonderful.
We jokingly say that between the two of us, we have one working brain. Because we'll finish each other's sentences. It's funny,
yeah.
It is pretty cool.
but maybe that's my purpose.
That's funny because that's me and Susan and me and my friend Claire here. We do the same thing. Claire's local, and but Susan, I have known each other forever, and we do that all the time. I fill in the blanks. I know what she's thinking before she says it. Yeah, and that's why we have just open friendship. We'd like I have keys to her house. If she knows if I need anything, she's there. And I'm there for her as well. So that's really cool. That's one. I mean, that's the beauty. Anybody that has a relationship after brain injury, regardless to what kind or even a friendship, is they become so valuable because we get each other. Like Steve, you got married. You were married before you had the brain injury.
I was married. Oddly enough, I was engaged when I had the brain injury. We got married a year later. That didn't work out after 5 years. Did the single thing for a while. Met my current wife. We've been together 14 years, married for 7 coming June 1st, or June 5th. I'm sorry. June 1st is my daughter's birthday. So that's in my brain right now, but yes, her first birthday. So we waited late in the game because I'm 47, but yeah, it all worked out. My wife now has been pretty special.
That's the beauty, because if somebody understands and accepts somebody after the brain injury, and we work together, like I said, regardless of any kind of relationship, whether it's a friendship, whatever, a bond, it could be like, what do they call that? Like a male bonding or whatever,
Right.
But you get each other and you understand. And that's a beauty of brain injury, is we get each other and we understand. And for people that aren't survivors, that are with survivors, for having an open mind and understanding and an open heart to get it, that really shows the value of your relationship together. That's really, really cool. So I
No
congratulate.
one understands a brain injury unless they have one.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm
Thank
talking
you.
about Steve's wife, because she's an outsider looking in, but she still sees the value in who he is. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, she's a diamond in the rough. I'm very fortunate to have found her, if you will.
I'm on I just ended my second marriage after the brain injury. Neither one of them could really accept me for who I was.
Yeah.
It's a hard road, and I was single for 10 years in between the two too as well. So
Yeah, you get it. And there's been moments and roads and things that she maybe still doesn't understand, but at the end of it, she does, and that's why we're still together. So
it's an open mind and being suggestive, going, well, I don't understand because I didn't experience it. And that's what really a lot of people need to understand. I didn't experience it, so I don't understand. So the frustration, the mind, the way the brain works and the functioning and whatnot.
right.
We, as survivors, we can achieve the same goals. It just may take us a different way or a little longer. But we can get there. We do get there, And I mean, you've done it. I've done it. But all of us, anybody that's been a long time survivor has done it. You find different paths to achieve your goals, but you get there.
And you may not have seen it that way, but it's like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, time takes its course, so it finds a way. Yep. All right, guys. Well, I wanted to thank you. I'm going to end the call because it's just the four of us. And I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna share it on when I get it downloaded and everything. I'm gonna share it on Facebook. Friend request me, Steve, so that way I know
will.
and I can tag you on it. Okay, guys. I'll see you guys tonight, I hope.
Yeah, I should be there.
Okay, cool.
I'll
Thanks.
try. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Yeah.